raised in fire, always in flame, unseen by the world, a child with no name, a wish to be wanted, a hope to belong, but silenced again by violent blows. Then CASA calls out you, I'm not alone. They offer a hand and a place to call home. One caring adult can change a young life. The child finds hope and the freedom to smile.
Welcome back to the CASA of Red River podcast. Have you ever wondered how a nonprofit operates financially? Where does the money come from? How is it spent? And what kind of accountability is there for how those funds are used? This month, my guest is Kristy Ponce, our development director and someone who has worn a lot of hats at CASA over the years. She has served as a CASA supervisor, CASA's program director, and was once responsible for heading the Collaborative Family Engagement, or CFE, program across the 4 counties we serve. Today, as development director, Kristy helps make sure CASA has the resources to keep doing what we do. That naturally includes fundraising, but a major part of her work is securing grants and building relationships with foundations and community partners that help fund our staff, programs, and everything from everyday operations to major projects like recently replacing a CASA vehicle. So now join me in welcoming Kristy to the CASA of Red River podcast. Tell everybody who you are and what you do here.
I am Kristy Ponce. I am the development director.
What does that mean? Because you do so many different things.
I mostly write grants.
Where do we get the funding?
Some of it's state, some of it's federal, and some of it's from local foundations.
How long have you been doing this now?
Development director just since March, but I've been a part of CASA for over 11 years.
What did you start here doing?
I was a supervisor.
Okay, so you came in as a supervisor.
I was a supervisor for a couple of years, and then I was program director for a couple of years. And then I left for 1 year to adopt 4 girls. And during that time, I was on the board. And then I came back and I did that for a couple of years while I worked remote. And then I came back. So I was part CFE, part supervisor. Because I had some volunteers who, they love me and they stick with me.
Naturally.
So I had them, and then when we moved back, I didn't really want to do CF anymore. So I was just supervisor. And then Mercy left, here I am.
Yeah. See, I would think that the transition from being a supervisor to doing this would be super intimidating. To me,
initially,
it would be.
It was hard to stay in my lane because I still want to be part of that
and
work with them. But at the same time, like, because I have all the experience in each area, I could write about different things. So it just kind of gives me a different mindset because I walked that walk.
I have a really bad case of imposter syndrome. There's a part of me going, do they know that you're just Jason? Do they know?
I think we all have a little part of that inside of us.
What you're doing now is terrifying me, right?
It was terrifying in the beginning because I'm like, do I really want to do that?
Yeah.
But Mercy did a really great job, like, leaving a roadmap for it.
Yeah.
But I've figured out, basically, there's a lot of resources between ChatGPT and all the things you can make it your own. Because I literally asked ChatGPT just about foundations, and it basically gave me this whole spreadsheet of things to do and things to research.
Yeah.
And there's also different platforms you can research, charitable and all these ones that will tell you all the history about foundations and who they contribute to the past and how much they usually give, things like that.
Yeah.
But then you just figure out, okay, I need to send them an introduction letter about our organization, who I am, and see if they would be interested in giving us money. And there's some that used to give us money that don't give us money anymore, and just putting your name back out there. There's some that you can't solicit them. They have to, it's invite only. So like, how do we get an invite? Send you our newsletter just to put our name in front of you? What do we do? So just figuring that out, like, how do we get your attention? And I kind of know.
Why can't you just, why can't we just, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Once you start getting money from different foundations, what keeps you from just coasting? You know what I mean? It's like, how many different places does CASA get money from?
We have multiple different resources, but anything can change at any time.
Yeah.
because we've experienced based on our volunteer numbers or the amount of children we're serving, they can cut our budget. So then we have to be able to compensate other ways. And there's always a need, and we're always finding a way to grow. Obviously, like operating expenses and like just basic needs for children and training our volunteers and the travel and all of those things are huge expenses. But sometimes there's little needs like extra school supplies or extra clothing supplies, or helping a kinship family during the transition when they're not getting kinship funds and they initially get the top place, whether it's fence or just all the expenses that come in with taking on a new child, because they usually don't come with clothes. They usually don't come with any of the things that they come. And then you have another mouth to feed, and then there's extra utilities. So trying to help fill in those gaps. Sometimes we can do that depending on case by case, but there's always a need for something. Life happens with all the kids, and trying to find creative ways to help the families and make it easier for the children so that the child doesn't have to make sacrifices that they wouldn't normally have to make.
I am super curious about being a supervisor. So when you, first of all, what kind of education did you get to
That
go?
was like 6 years because I did it part-time as a
Yeah.
But as a supervisor, we're required to have at least a bachelor's, but it can be a bachelor's in a lot of like just anything. And mine's in psychology. But whenever I went into that field, I had no idea what I was going into. My friend was doing it. So I was like, yeah, that sounds cool.
Oh,
I should do something with my life
yeah.
besides being a mom. And then I had a friend that worked here, and I'd never heard about CASA before. But I had a friend that worked here, and they had posted on Facebook about hiring at CASA. I was like, cool, so I'll apply. And so here I am.
I can't imagine a better gig than this. I'm blown away by the people that work, not only here, but in other nonprofits as well, but especially here, of course, because the pay is so dismal. I'm flabbergasted by it sometimes, especially like when Laura and I talked about it. And so she was going to hook me up with the supervisor gig. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
And so I was so amped up, and I enjoyed it so much. And I had taken the volunteerism to a level that was too much. Had to roll it back. There was a supervisor position available. And I talked to Laura, and Laura's like, we can do that. And I was like, this would be great. And then she said, at the time, it's more now.
Yeah.
But at the time, she goes, oh, it's $38,000 a year. And I went, American? I go, oh my gosh, I love this place and I'd love to do that. But how is anybody taking care of their families? I marvel at and appreciate the folks that do it. When you are a supervisor, though, like when you were doing that, what does that entail on a daily, like in a nutshell? Because I was always marveled at that, because at one point I had 7 cases, I think, at once. I quickly dropped 2 of them, right? Because I was like, whoa, that even got me, because I was like, this is crazy. I've lost my mind. But then I'd look up at the board and you'd have 20, 25, something like that. It was back then, there was a different standard. And so there was a higher influx of children into the system.
Right.
But how do you manage having that many cases on you?
Volunteers.
Yeah.
The volunteers make it possible for us to do what we do. And back then, we didn't have volunteers that we have now. At one point, I think the highest caseload I had was 73 children.
Ooh.
And now that's not the way it is now. We have half of that.
Yeah.
But it's the volunteers that kind of help us manage all the things. Because we do talk to a lot of different parties in the case, whether it's the teachers, the placements, the neighbors, the parents, the health professionals, the therapist. There's so many people that we talk to for that child. But if we have a volunteer that's helping us do all of the legwork, that makes it so much easier.
Anyway, so there's so many responsibilities that the supervisors have that there aren't as many kids anymore, but it just boggles the mind that they are willing to do such an emotionally taxing job and mentally taxing. There's so much to it. And then to do it for so little. I think it's remarkable. You got to be a special kind of person to do that. One of the things that was kind of cool too is that, were you my first supervisor? Or I think
I stole you from another supervisor.
yeah. I can't remember.
It was Alyssa.
Alyssa. Okay. Yeah. Cause I got Alyssa and I got my first case. That was 10 years ago, wasn't it? I think I started in
I think you
2006.
had all the supervisors.
Yeah, at one point, yeah, I did. I had everybody.
We all wanted you. You would take all the hard teen boys.
I love doing that too, but then it got squirrely. I mentioned it on another one, but it became, I like kind of going really hard, and I was going too hard when Harley asked, why didn't I want to spend time with her anymore?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I got to roll this back a little bit.
No, it's easy to get so involved that it becomes a bigger priority than your own family. Because even with my own kids, sometimes they're like, oh, but they'll know that I'm doing these other things for all these other kids. Of course, I get paid for it. But they're like, but you're doing time for them and not for me. And
Yeah, that's something else I heard too from Harley. And then she started asking if she could come along and help. And I recognized that was more about that I was going to be somewhere else this weekend, so could she be where I was? There's something incredibly satisfying about what you're doing, and knowing even the kids that I've had that have their cases ended, whether it was adoption or aging out, I've had those that vanish and then those that continue to show up.
I have several that are still part of my life. And there's one boy that when I went to Houston, like he's 19 now, but he's not technically a CASA kid anymore because since he's aged out, but he is in like a HCS home. And so basically because of his special needs, he's autistic along with ADHD and all these other things. So he has to live in this house that has a house parent and he just has supervision. But he's still one of our kids. And he's in Houston, no family. He's just in this house. And he's been there since he came into care about 5 years ago. And for the short time I lived in Houston, we were able to fly his mom in at that point. And he had a whole visit with her then because he hadn't seen her since even before he got removed from care because he got removed from his dad. And so we were able to do a visit, but since that's over 2 years ago, and he hadn't seen his mom yet. And he was graduating, so we wanted to surprise him and bring his mom in and have a visit. And there's a lot of things that happened with his graduation where he didn't exactly get to walk the stage because he got himself in trouble. But we were able to still fly his mom in. We just had to kind of replan it. And so we were able to do that this last weekend.
Oh.
And so it was a whole lot of fun just still celebrating the fact that he did graduate and bringing his mom in and let him have 3 days and visit. And it was just really cool that we're still part of him with that life.
She hadn't seen her, but had he spoke to her?
He does talk to her. It's mostly by like they play video games together. And that's how he sees his siblings because he hasn't seen his siblings 5 years since he got removed. So now our next kind of goal is to figure out how to fly him to Wisconsin where his family is, so that he can see his siblings, because he's got 3 siblings there.
Oh, was he the only one removed from?
No. No, one of them was, but she was actually able to go back to live with her mom. But because of his being in this special housing, it just wasn't what was best for him at that time.
I had one of the kids age out, wound up in a group home. And then when we got him to the end, we had all this stuff ready for him. We were talking. I was like, hey, everything's going to be cool. They got a plan for you. You can go to college because he loved cooking. I was like, you can go to culinary school. Everything can be set up for you, man. You don't have anything to worry about. Not even going to have to pay for it, but you're going to have to stay in the system because we're trying to transition you over. Otherwise, you just cut off. He just wanted out. All he had talked about for months prior to that was he wanted out. I want out.
Most
I want
kids do.
out. Yeah.
Yep.
And I go, I get that, man. I said, but all of this help and everybody that's gathered around you, that's going to go away. I said, and as soon as you're out, I'm not going to be your CASA anymore, and I can't do anything for you. And he got his wish, and he wound up in a group home here in town. And I went and visited him a couple of times, even to the group home, and then that was it. So that was one of those where, like, again, in the podcast, I don't like the shine. You know what I mean? For instance, whenever you're watching something on TV or you're watching or listening to a podcast or you're reading a book, some people will put the shine on things. And my deal is that whenever it comes to CASA, I think that people coming in should know it's not all butterflies and lilies.
No, the system is so broken. And a lot of these kids that have behavior issues or do things, there's one kid that I can think of in particular. He was loved by many and he did a lot of awful things, but he always got to play the foster care card. And he would get out. He didn't have major consequences like a normal kid that's not in foster care would have. So he didn't really learn not to do those things. So now as an adult, we see him on the inmate roster because he's doing some of the same things, but he didn't get consequences before, so he didn't learn anything. He had this whole team protecting him from real life.
Yeah.
And it didn't benefit him.
Go back to, because I'm super, super curious, and I'll let it go in a second. But the grant thing. So I guess going back to one of my original questions was, so let's say that I'm just going to make up, because I don't know any of them. I know pretty, but I don't know any of them. I don't know enough to know anything. So let's say that the JEC Foundation has a deal in some way or shape, form or another, wound up getting connected to these people. And let's say that they give 10 grand a year out to different places, and CASA happens to be one. And so then whatever the application process is, you do that. And do they usually, these different organizations, do they usually have some kind of format they want you to follow, or a set of rules or something that tells you what they need?
A lot of them are restricted funds, and they will require us to include all of our financials. They want to know like where we're being supported from other ways, how we're spending our money, whether it's our salaries or child assistance or training and those expenses. And we have to report all those things. And then when they give us funds, whatever amount is awarded, we often have to report back how we spent those funds and show proof of purchases or proof of all the expenses. There's a lot of them that are not
before they
unrestricted.
give you so they don't just, they say, hey, look, we got a request for this $10,000 from CASA. Oh, CASA's great. We know it because it's nationwide or whatever. You still have to, they will still want to basically have whatever financials we have. Like how
they
you
hold us accountable for the van we purchased.
Yeah.
We have to send everything back to them showing we actually purchased a van with the $40,000.
And that was one where that was specifically for that. So it was important that we had that money. Was we need a car, or in this case, a van to transport. And there was, who did we get that from?
McCoy.
Okay. How did you find them?
They've been a huge supporter for us for a long time.
Oh.
Because our previous purchases for the vans have also come from them.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So then let's say back to JEC Foundation. And again, I made up. Those are my initials.
Yeah.
So we got JEC Foundation has 10 grand to give away, which that would be nice. So we could use it. And they do. And you give them the information they ask for ahead of time, which is the financials, whatever else there might be. Then they send you the 10 grand, and you have to show them how you spent the 10 grand. Does everyone do that?
No, some of them are unrestricted.
Okay.
But usually they're much smaller amounts if they're unrestricted.
It's a $500 one.
Yes, then they don't really care.
Yeah.
Of course, there is one, like the Junior League is the one that gave us the money for the child's mom to fly in.
Oh, yeah.
We have to report back to them on how it was $691, but we have to show that.
You really got the mom to fly in. Okay. So this is something I don't get, or I don't understand. Okay, so let's say you got that approval. The JEC Foundation sent you the 10 grand in April, and they do it once a year, right? That's their whole thing, is every year so once a year they send out this money. Why then the following year, do you have to go through the whole thing again?
Applying every year. We apply to the same ones every year.
None of them let you coast.
No.
Wow.
It's not like a paycheck where you're just earning the salary every single year. You have to reapply and submit the same information and tell your same mission over and over. Wow.
I wonder how many different places one foundation gives to. That has to vary, clearly.
It does.
But that's just fascinating. So have you ever, I know you haven't been doing the grants very long, but I'm kind of curious. Let's say that every year you send a request off to the JEC Foundation and for the 10 grand. And then one year you don't. It just doesn't happen. They don't reach out and go, hey, you don't need this money? No. It just vanishes. If you don't if you're not diligent and staying on top of things, it just won't happen.
And there's certain ones that we have to do quarterly reports for. And that's definitely a team effort because it works between me, Dan, and James to provide those quarterly reports so they know what we're doing so that we can keep those funds coming in. And we're meeting our goals. Because some of the funding, there's one that's based on our volunteer to case ratio. So if we're not meeting our 80% for our volunteers that are serving our children, we could potentially lose funds.
That's fascinating. But with the kind of thing, I think if I'm interested in something, somebody else is.
Yes.
You know what? If your thing is that you really love cheeseburgers with pineapple, someone somewhere else loves cheeseburgers with pineapple. It sounds insane to me.
I think they make that somewhere. Have you ever had peanut butter on your cheeseburger? There's a restaurant that does that. It's actually just adds a really weird taste to it, but it's just, I don't know. It's a thing.
Nah, that's a hard pass.
I have a friend who just loves it. We went to eat at this restaurant in Oklahoma City, and that's what she got. I was like, really? Peanut butter on your cheeseburger? I don't understand, but okay.
Anyway, that's fascinating. All right. I don't know how long I've been talking, but I like talking. I'll pull this up real quick. Going back to the podcast, the purpose is that if I'm fascinated in something, if I'm interested in something, then other people will be too. Who doesn't want to know how nonprofits get their money? That just sounds, that's genius. That's brilliant to me. Everybody knows that some nonprofits having a car wash, or this nonprofit's having a garage sale, and we go, but then how are they paying everybody? You know what I mean? And to know that it comes from all these grants and all the work that goes into it and trying to, man, the personality must have to have, I don't think I could do it. Do you cold call? I'm getting off on the thing, but do you cold call people?
No, I haven't ran across a lot of things. That's how they recommend doing it. Because a lot of them, like what is it called? It's the Midwestern Nonprofit Center.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, there's some nonprofit center. I think that
the thing I went to,
where they record the board things. Yes.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, I can't remember what they called that.
Some nonprofit center here in town.
Yeah.
But there's a website, and they'll put what foundations and things like that are available. But some of them will only have a name and an address. That's it. That's the only information you have. So you can research it online to find out who they've given to in the past to see if you're a good match. Because if they've given to the Boys and Girls Club or the Children's Home in the past, they might be interested in what you do too.
Yeah.
But if they're more inclined to give to
dogs,
right,
or an animal one, some animal nonprofit, they gave to pets.
Yeah.
They get the people against, what is that one? Prevention through euthanasia. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Anyway, pets. So if there's somebody who gives money to nonprofits, but they do it for animals, or let's say they do it for the elderly, then we would not get that.
We usually search for the ones that are more youth focused or trauma informed or mentoring or volunteer programs.
Yeah.
Different advocacy that related to humans.
What is that book?
It's my cheat sheet for things that I've researched on where I'm getting my information from. Oh, it's the Center for Nonprofit Management Leadership with Midwestern. That's where I got the information. So then I have this whole spreadsheet that will tell me that I'll put who used to give money to us. Or, I'll show you just because I think it's cool.
Yeah.
And I'm a data person like that.
My dad loves a spreadsheet.
Because I'll tell where I got the information from. Like the source was Candid. And we don't have a subscription to that one, but they gave me a whole day to look. And so when I first started. So then I was able to look to see who they are and what they give to, and if they used to give to us. And some of them are very limited funding prospects. They're small private family foundations, or this one's not open to unsolicited proposals, or this one's only focuses on agriculture for youth.
Oh.
Like this one, applicants must be registered Canadian charities, or this one's to sports areas only. So there's just a bunch of different things to research on where they'll do. And some only do Tarrant County or Dallas area or Grayson County.
What? Have you sent off requests to foundations that do focus on children?
Yes.
And then get a no? Do they tell you why?
Yet.
Oh, okay.
Before, there's a few that I've ran across that the previous development director did that they did not. She did the whole grant process and they said no. And I re-looked into them, and basically they told me that the only reason they declined it was because they want more of a big project thing to fund, like the van, instead of operating expenses.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they don't want to pay for our salaries, but they'll pay for something else.
I see. That's interesting.
And just researching different fundraising ideas and campaigns.
Oh, you do that too.
Mhm.
So it's not just the grant writing. It's also, you're coming up with things like the things around Halloween and Christmas and things like the garage sales and that kind of stuff. Y'all are,
We all partner on that and try to figure out fun ways to raise extra funds that are non-restricted.
what about the shoe thing? Remember we did that, this is totally off topic, but that didn't make money at all. That was just awareness.
Yeah, that's just awareness.
Yeah.
The walk of knowledge.
Yeah. And okay, who came up with that? Was that something that's been just going around for a long
It's
time?
been going on ever since I started here, so I don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been going on forever.
Yeah. I had one of the women I worked with said that she couldn't watch it because it started to make her cry. I said, I was doing great until I got to the bunny slippers. Yeah, that one got you, right? You're walking around and it's all these different things. And then you get around to where it's a pair of literally 3-year-olds bunny slippers. And you go, like, it's a part of you that just feels like there's a knife twisting. Okay. I think that was a lot of information. I honestly don't know how I'm going to cut it down to being super short. There's no way I can get this down to a 15-minute one. As we're going along, I keep having more things keep popping up in my head and questions that I'm curious about. All right, I'm going to let you off the hook, but I appreciate your time.
Then CASA calls out you, I'm not alone. They offer a hand and a place to call home. One caring adult can change a young life. The child finds hope and the freedom to smile.